Welcome to WagerTalk Podcast as we open up the Big Dance Thursday, Friday action. Couple of podcasts. You're listening to the Thursday podcast. When this one is done, be sure to listen to Fridays. We'll break down 5 more college basketball games from Friday's slate. 5 games on this particular show from Thursday's college opening round action, and we'll have best bets coming up a little bit later. I'm Scott. Marco's in the house. He, of course, is a co-founder of WagerTalk.com, and also Dave Cokin, a longtime friend of mine, and also at WagerTalk.com. Let's start breaking down the games, guys, and get right to it. We're going to go in schedule order. So we're going to start with Game 722, which is Alabama taking on Virginia Tech. And you're looking at Tech being around a 2-point favorite, mostly since it opened. One thing I saw, Marco, Wednesday, I'm doing a couple of the shows, or Tuesday it was actually, and I'm looking at William Hill's numbers, and they're showing Virginia Tech getting about 97 to 98% of the handle at that particular point, but yet that number was still right there on 2. Your thoughts, Bama and the Hokies?
Yeah, this is one of those games, Scott, that I look at Virginia Tech, and if I'm looking how I want to play this team, this is not a team I want to play. They can frustrate you. They can slow it down. They play good defense, and they shoot the ball, halfway decent. And I'll tell you what, this is a team that came out of the ACC. We've got a lot of teams in the tournament that did good against the other teams in the conference, but they didn't handle the big guns. Virginia Tech is one of the few teams in the country that has a resume where they beat Virginia, Duke, and North Carolina. Alabama, when they've been good, they've been very good. Mm-hmm. But too often, this offense has been inconsistent. I can't jump on them here. I think Virginia Tech, I hate that all the public is there as well, but it's Virginia Tech or pass for me.
I couldn't care less what the public's doing, so it doesn't matter to me. I just look at this game and see this best player on the floor, clearly Sexton. I mean, the guy he could be the best college player out there. I mean, he's that good. He's going to be a sensational pro. And the other freshman is a pretty good scorer at times, although he's a little more erratic. But after that, Alabama doesn't do much. And defensively, which is Avery Johnson's specialty, they just haven't always been there this year. I think Virginia Tech has the offense to exploit them. I put a lot into coaching in the first round. I think that there's no more important game than the first round of the NCAA tournament as far as coaching is concerned. Getting your team to kind of, put the regular season behind them, to not get overly excited about the fact that this one game, even keel guys who really know what they're doing. I think Virginia Tech's got an edge in that department in their coaching. And I think the Hokies are going to win this basketball game. It's going to be a good battle. I don't have much, I don't think this is going to be one of those 72-49 deals, but I like Virginia Tech to come out on top.
I think a 5 or 6 point win by the time it's said and done. And, the one thing about Avery Johnson, it wasn't so bad in the SEC tourney for the most part, but he's had substitution issues, it seems like, at times, where he's not quite sure who to bring in at what time, who to sit down. Again, it didn't haunt them during the SEC tournament, but I saw spots throughout the season, and I think you've talked about it too, Dave, on our radio show in Las Vegas, but Alabama not quite up to par away from home. In fact, they're quite average in their neutral and road numbers. Boy, they sure don't look like a big dance squad to me when you look at their numbers away from home. So anyway, we're all looking like a Virginia Tech play here. Again, it's probably not going to make my card. It hasn't as of now, as of late Wednesday night when we talk about these games. I doubt I'll add it to Thursday's slate. Game 724, Oklahoma taking on Rhode Island. This one's been kind of fun to talk about for a few days now, and I think we're all in agreement that the Sooners don't belong here. But, Dave, that doesn't mean that the Sooners can't win this first-round game against Rhode Island.
Well, they don't belong here, but they're here. So it's not like, I'm pretty sure Lon Kruger has not said to his team at practice, well, the hell with it, we don't belong here anyway. Here's one other thing that I think is going to play into this. The teams that they were very familiar with, or were familiar with them in the Big 12, they play each other. It's a round robin. They play each other twice each in that league. And it looked like teams found a way to at least make life more difficult for the superstar on Oklahoma's team. Well, if you haven't seen him before, that might be a little more difficult in terms of defensing him, which Rhode Island hasn't seen him. And, we talked about this on the radio show today, Scott. URI has not played particularly well down the stretch. If it was just that one disastrous game against St. Joe's, big deal. They were lucky to get past St. Joe's in the rematch in the tournament. They didn't get by Davidson, obviously. They barely survived another game. This team is not playing its best ball right now, so you've got two teams that appear to be struggling a bit. I'm not involved in the game, but this looks like a serious pros versus Joes game with the sharper money being on the Sooners, and the public loving URI in this game. And again, I don't really care much about pros versus Joes, but this is one time I think I might rather be with the Joes.
I actually posted this one on Tuesday at WagerTalk.com as my free play, this particular game. Couple of notes on this one, besides the fact, as Dave mentioned, Rhode Island has not looked all that great of late. They're 4-4 straight up the last 8 games. And I got to throw this out there. I don't want to spend
By the way,
time.
I think I might have said rather be with the Joes. I think I'd rather be with the pros. The pros on Oklahoma.
And I wanted to say this. I don't want to get into a whole hour-long talk about whether or not Oklahoma should be here. They should not. They should definitely not be a 10 seed. Best thing I saw on the selection committee show the other night is when Charles Barkley interviewed Bruce Rasmussen. And Bruce Rasmussen said, well, we dropped him significantly because of the way they finished the season. And Barkley just had this stunned look on his face. He goes, what do you have? It's like overall number 1 seed? And only drop him to 10. But as far as the Rams are concerned, Marco, they're terrible on the defensive end. 244th in field goal percentage allowed. They themselves, in the last 5 games, have made less than 39% of the shots. And I was talking to Dave about this earlier today. Last 5 games, 57% free throws from Rhode Island. They've taken about 26 trays per game. They've made about 8 per game out of those 26. It's not a well-playing team right now, and I kind of think it's just what the doctor ordered for a refocused Sooner team to get out of the first round.
Yeah, I like Oklahoma in this one, and this is simply the situation of everybody for the last 4 days have been screaming they don't belong, and I'm one of them that agrees they don't. But I think that's going to rally this team, and we've talked about it several different times with the Trae Young situation that at times everybody's standing around watching him. He's become the whole center point.
Sure.
And I think right now that the team in general, this might be what it takes to get them back on the same page, continuity, play some team basketball because they have something to prove. And then to your point about Rhode Island, I like to go back and look at the beginning of the season and look at out of conference, see where signature wins came from and stuff. In Rhode Island, they had 2 signature wins out of conference. One was Seton Hall. The other one was Providence. I throw the Providence one out because that's a rivalry game because, the locale of the 2 teams.
They beat up early too.
Yeah, I was going to say they weren't at their best early the season.
So I'm not that impressed with Rhode Island, the way they played at the end of the season. And as you said about the defense, Oklahoma, they've got a lot of talent if they play together. And I think they'll do this in this first game. I'll take them here. If they win, I'll have house money. I can find a spot to go against them later down the road.
Oh, and I'll tell you where it is. The next game. Because Duke plays zone. Duke is playing a ton of zone this year, and Oklahoma's zone offense is horrible, terrible. We'll see. Rhode Island doesn't play a lot of zone, and we'll see if they make some adjustments here and go that route, because that's what you should do against Oklahoma. But Duke will kill Oklahoma.
NC State, Seton Hall, game 7:30 is the game we're talking about next. In the Hall, the Pirates about a 2.5-point favorite over the Wolfpack, Marco. And when you look at this one, first of all, you got to find out, is Desi Rodriguez going to play or not? Well, it looks like he's going to play, and they're saying he's pretty close to 100% healthy. Your thoughts on this particular game? And again, I've heard, the sharper people that I talk to are laying a couple of points here with the Hall. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is one of the better games, I think, on Friday. You got, 2 teams that at different times this year have looked good, and at other times they haven't looked so good. They both have some ugly losses on their resume. You look at Seton Hall, this is one of those teams where they played good. They had a winning record in their conference, but if you break it down to the top 3 in the conference, they were only 1-5 against the elite teams in that conference. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. NC State, they play in the ACC. We know how deep the ACC was. I'm looking more to the total in this one. And they put up a high total on this game. And you look at it, NC State, their defense down the stretch, they allowed 5 of their last 9 opponents to shoot over 50% against them. If they get out early and get into that fast tempo game and they're knocking down the shots, you know how it compares, just continues to roll that way. I'm looking right now for the over in this one is where I'm at. For the game, I'm back and forth on it, so right now I haven't made a commitment on the game, but I do like the total.
One of the worst teams in America, NC State, at defending the 2. Not the 3, but the 2. They just can't stop it.
You know what Hall's going to do in this game. They're going to pound it in the paint and pound it in the paint and pound it in the paint. Lean to Hall. I like senior-dominated teams early on in the tournament. I think they just have a better chance to be calm around this, in the surroundings. The calm inside the storm, if you will. And I don't see a coaching edge either way. That to me is the big edge, but it's not a significant enough one to get me involved in the game. I'll be on the sidelines, but if I had to make a bet here, I'd take Seton Hall.
One of the things I like about that, to add to your point of seniors, upperclassmen, is that they've got 4 guys on this team who are going to be starting who have bowed out early in the tournament, but I think it was Gonzaga was one of the teams.
Yep.
I'm spacing off the other one. Might have been Purdue. But the last couple of years, that's who they've lost to. So they'd like to last and stay around a little bit longer in the big dance this particular time. Game 732, San Diego State taking on Houston. Interesting game here. Houston laying around 4. The total's been right around 142, 42.5, Dave. And I'm trying to figure out how I should truly, and I haven't played this game, and I don't know if I will because I like Xavier a lot. They got a great shot to be in the Final Four. Obviously, they're one of the 1 seeds. San Diego State, okay, they caught on to the new coach and what he's trying to do outside of what Steve Fisher had this team doing. Malik Pope is a beast, obviously. But I'm trying to see, how much do I factor into what they did in the tournament in the Mountain West and over the last month of the season? Because the Mountain West is a disaster outside of the Aztecs, Nevada, maybe kind of Boise. It's a crap league.
But the thing is, they beat the teams they had to beat. And New Mexico is a pretty good team at the end of the year.
I guess. I mean, they shoot 90 free throws a night.
Why not? But they,
they're almost that much against Wyoming.
They're well coached. The things at San Diego State that have happened, I don't think it's as much buying into Dutcher's system as it was getting Pope playing really good basketball late. And Pope's an enigmatic guy because he's got NBA talent, but there are times over the past couple of years where he's barely been able to crack the rotation to San Diego State. I think it's a mental thing. And the other thing is Kell, who's a tremendous player. He's still not healthy, but he's out there.
He's played better.
Probably at maybe 80% now, and he's the key guy on the team as far as running the offense. Their offense has really gotten into sync. But boy, this Houston team, they're good. They've got a guy who I don't know why it is, because you'd think they'd get more attention. Maybe it's because they're in a pro town and don't get that much attention in their own city. This Houston's a really good basketball team. I mean, they're exciting to watch. They've got one of the best players in the country.
Sure.
That guard, I mean, that kid, that Gray's a tremendous player. And yet they're an under-the-radar team. I guess part of it is probably the fact that they're in a,
kind of an under-the-radar conference. It's better than people give them credit for.
Well,
but,
it's kind of a mid-major.
Yeah.
Because it's a mid-major football conference,
Sure.
so therefore it gets categorized as a mid-major college basketball conference, even though the reality is if you've got a Cincinnati and you've got a Wichita State and you've got a Houston and then you've got teams like Temple in there as well, it's not really a mid-major. Yeah, it's a good conference. But it is what it is, and the league hasn't gotten a lot of, outside of the 2 big teams, Wichita and Cincinnati, they haven't really gotten that much attention. So Houston has kind of gone by the wayside as far as that goes.
Sure.
If they're in the Big East or one of the major conferences, they're contending for a title, and there's like they're awesome, baby. They're going to be getting all kinds of attention every night from the major talking heads, and that tells me they're a bit underrated.
Yeah.
This is I think from my personal standpoint, in terms of a game I want to see, it's my favorite first-round game. It's the one I really do want to see because I love the way San Diego State's playing right now. I've liked this Houston team basically since midseason. Kelvin Sampson's a great basketball coach, and he's doing a tremendous job there. But I don't know who's going to win. I really don't.
It's a pros versus Joes, and to your point of maybe the AAC being under the radar publicly, well, the public, 67% of the tickets on San Diego State, 68% of the money at William Hill on Houston. Oh. So it's it's a pros versus Joes game. I got to say one real quick thing. I had Houston plus, I think it was 4.5 against Cincinnati in the conference championship game today. And that play that was made with about 2 seconds to go, down by 1, where the Houston guard pulled an Eric Sleepy Floyd and fired the ball to nobody. It turned the ball over for Houston. I'm thinking, boy, if there were 10 seconds left, I'm probably going to lose this game. Yeah. So, but anyway, Marco, I agree with a lot of what Dave's saying. I just think it's an under-the-radar team, and I think if you like Houston, it's a fair number, 2 buckets.
It is. And, San Diego State, it's a shame that they had to match these 2 teams up in the first round because both of these teams finished the season as hot as you could be.
They want them both out of there, so it's like, well, let's make sure and get one of them
out of there. San Diego State wins 9 in a row down the stretch, and they did it with defense. You guys had talked about when we did videos earlier in the week, Ralph mentioned it, that San Diego State had to learn the new system. They have always been a slow down team where they went faster pace, and it hurt the defense at the beginning of the season because they weren't able to adjust. Well, now they've got the system down at the end of the season and are playing good basketball, and over the last 9 games, they held 8 of 9 opponents to 41% shooting or less. 6 of those 8 games, 39%. So you're going to win basketball games. You play defense like that, but we got to equate the difference between the Mountain West and the American Conference. And I think the American Conference is head and shoulders above the Mountain West. Like you said, Cincinnati in here, you've got Wichita State. And I like to look at what the teams did against the top couple guns. And Houston beat both Wichita and Cincinnati during the regular season. So this is a team that did beat the best in the conference. I like them here. I think they're a good team. You look at what they did down the stretch. They went 10-2 straight up. One of the losses came after back-to-back games where they beat Cincinnati for the first time, and then they played Temple in the very next game and win by a gazillion, like 80-59, I think the score was. So they were feeling a little fat and sassy when they went on the road for a second game in a row. They got ambushed at Memphis. But other than that, this team has played great basketball down the stretch. I'm going with them here. I'm going to take Houston. I'm going to lay the points. I like them.
That Memphis game, by the way, look, when you're playing a jump shooting team, if it just happens to be one of those nights where all the jump shots are full, and I don't care who you are, you're going to run into trouble.
Yeah.
And that's what happened that night. Memphis they couldn't miss.
Last game we're going to talk about, and then we'll take a quick break, come back with best bets, the Kentucky-Davidson battle. And, well, we sure know who the public is rooting for at the very least, that being the Davidson Wildcats, other than instead of the Kentucky Wildcats in this particular game. And we've seen Kentucky drop 6.5, all the way down to as low as 5 as we cut this podcast. And, I'm looking at Davidson, and they've only got 3 players averaging more than 6 points per game. That is it. 3 players. 48% of all shots taken by Davidson, Marco, come from behind the arc. They make about 10 out of 28 away from home this season. That's about 37% or so. And Kentucky defended the tray well. They defended it well away from home, but boy, they don't force turnovers away from home. About 9.5 turnovers per game outside of Lexington. It's dangerous to go against a team that can fire from 3 all night long and have confidence as long as they get hot early, I think. And also, if you get, let's say, a 10-point Kentucky lead at the half, you got a team that could shoot themselves right back into it, in about 15 seconds. It's one of those situations. I'm not on this game. I don't know if you guys are. There's just too many questions for me as far as how Kentucky has defended away from home and if Davidson can stay hot from area code 3 away from home.
Well, the one thing that you mentioned with Davidson, that they don't have any big scores, but they do have it spread out.
Well, they have a big score, but they've only got 3 over 6 points per game.
But they have a lot of guys that do contribute. And this is a team that has on its roster, you talk about senior-laden team. There's 6 seniors on this team.
Sure.
And we've seen this movie with Kentucky over and over again. It's, reboot every year. You got all those one-and-dones that are gone. You got 8 freshmen on the roster this year. Take some time to get going. Usually they get it going a little bit earlier than they did this year. This year's addition took longer to gel than we've seen in the past years. But they are peaking at the right time. 7-1 down the stretch. The one loss was an absolutely meaningless game. The last game of the regular season on the road at Florida. They were out of contention for the SEC title. All they were worried about, getting to the conference tournament. And what'd they do? They rolled right through the conference tournament. I would like to take the sexy pick here and take Davidson plus the points. I look at it, and I know the first glance, when I saw the number, it's like Kentucky only laying, 5 to Davidson. You go, what? But, a lot of people think this line, it's too good. But I'm old school. When I see a line that looks too good,
is the public didn't react to the low line like you think they would. They didn't jump on Kentucky. They went the other way.
Public's betting Kentucky, but the
no, the public was on Davidson.
No, the sharper money's on Davidson.
It was yesterday. It was both sides were on Davidson, public and sharp.
I'm going off what
it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying
what Will told us on the show today.
Oh, what CG?
At CG, it's a major.
I don't know what it is at CG.
Major pros versus Joe split. But I don't care about that stuff. I just look at the game. And you're right. Davidson shoots a lot of threes.
Sure.
And you'd say, well, Kentucky with their length can go out there and defend that. Here's the thing, though. They're basically. It's not the same, but there's a lot of similarities. McKillop runs a lot of the old Pete Carroll stuff. Okay, this is, if you remember that offense, tons of backdoor cuts. They got stuff going on all over the place. And if Kentucky isn't aware, they're going to get burned on backdoors. And then if they start worrying about that, then there's going to be open threes for Davidson. There isn't a better fundamental team in the country than the Davidson Wildcats. They play smart. They've gotten better and better as the season's going along, as they've really gelled. They make their free throws. They're right up there. I think they're a top 10 team nationally in shooting free throws. They rebound like crazy, despite the fact that they're not a real big team. I mean, there is just nobody better than Davidson in terms of getting the max out of their talent, because they're so fundamentally sound, than this squad. And I think that's going to give Kentucky all kinds of problems. Kentucky's got the better athletes. They got the one and dones. They get the guys that are going to the NBA. But I think they can get caught against a smarter team than they are. And I think Davidson's got a real good chance at the upset here. I like the points in this game.
I left it alone. I just had to leave it alone, man. But I like all the reasons both of you guys have spoken about these two teams. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to have our best bets for Thursday. And don't forget to check out the Friday Big Dance podcast. 5 more games and another best bet. We are WagerTalk.
It's Manic Monday, and that means every pick at WagerTalk.com is just $9. Get a play in any sport valued at up to $30 for just $9 each and every Monday at WagerTalk.com.
Welcome back to Wager Talk Thursday, Big Dance version. Right to best bets. We'll start with Dave Cokin. Dave, before we get to the best bet, what's going on Thursday in the Big Dance that people will be able to find at WagerTalk.com? I
haven't actually put my plays up yet for Thursday. I'm still finalizing them. Okay. One of them will be Davidson, which is, again, I'm going to use that as a best bet here on the show. So if you see Davidson, I want to make sure that nobody who's listening to the podcast buys something they don't need to buy. So I will label that game. I'll put Davidson, Kentucky in the headline. So those of you that are listening right now, you already know who I like in the game.
Wildcats.
I mean, if you want to buy it just to make sure I'm not bullshitting you, that's okay. All right, you know. But
you'll take the money.
Yeah, I guess I will. But I like Davidson just for the reasons I just spoke about. And I think they've got a real chance. Let me throw a quick angle in here on this game. It's only been 50-50 the last few years, but long term it's been really good. And that's a team that is favored in round 1 of the tournament that won its conference tournament as a straight-up underdog. Those teams don't do well as favorites. And there's 2 that fit this year that won their conference tournament final as a dog and are now favored in round 1. The other one, by the way, is getting played against heavily by the Sharps. You'll have to figure out who that is for yourself. But the other one is Kentucky. I like Davidson plus the points in that game, and I will have. It's been good this week at Wager Talk, and I'll have some really good stuff up on Thursday.
The first time it was Sean Hess who brought up that angle many years ago. We used to do radio in Las Vegas.
Great angle.
When did Penn play Nebraska? Was that like 93 or something like that? 92, and Huskers had Piatkowski, the Polish rifle, and all those guys. And they were being predicted to go to the Elite 8 or better, and they had just won the Big 8 tournament. Big 8 back then, I think it was, before the Big 12, and they were playing Penn. And Nebraska had just fit the category you just meant, and that you just mentioned, and the parameters. And I remember betting on Penn. I was with Greg Darabin at what is now called the Westgate Superbook. It was called the Hilton.
Yes, it was.
And we bet on Penn heavily, and everybody in the room had Nebraska. But it was that angle that Sean Hess had pointed out to me way back when over 20 years ago. But I still like look at that. I won't put it this way. As you said, it's 50-50 of late, but I'm not playing against those teams. No. All right, Marco, what's going on with you for Thursday, and what's your best bet?
Well, going to give you a spoiler alert to what Dave was just talking about, and I didn't know that angle, but my play is that game.
It's the other one?
It's the other game. I'm on Montana.
Oh, okay. No, that's not the one.
Michigan won as an underdog their conference tournament.
Well, they were an underdog in the last game.
Yep. Against Purdue. Against Purdue.
Yep. Okay.
So then I guess there's another one then.
There is. I'll tell you who it is. It's the Kansas.
Right.
Kansas was a dog in there, and Penn is the opponent.
Michigan was an underdog to Purdue, but that's not the reason why I was taking it. I'm taking it because it was so long ago, and for me, Michigan was playing the best basketball down the stretch. To be sitting for this long, it's a momentum stopper to me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take Montana. I'm going to take the double digits with this team and make it – I think they keep this close. I just don't like the fact that Michigan got to – after such a satisfying win and to roll the way they did through – and they took it to Purdue in the championship game. That was an ugly performance by Purdue. 2 weeks sitting around like that, I'm going to throw it out there. You know the phrase I'm going to do. They're fat and sassy right now. I think they come out slow. You get Montana, get a lead in this game, and then can slow the tempo down a little bit. I don't know they can pull the upset, but I like them plus the 11 points.
Yeah,
here.
by the way, Montana loaded with seniors.
Sure.
They are very experienced.
Team. That's funny that the Big Ten, they did that not because they wanted to play early. They did it because they wanted to play at Madison Square Garden,
right.
And the Big East already has it locked down. They will be going back to Chicago either next year or the year after, and they'll go back to playing at the normal time.
What was the logic for playing in New York? Because
big stage.
You're taking all those
because if you can make it there, you
can make it anywhere.
Oh wow! They wanted to do it their way.
Yes, they did.
I'm not going to say anything. All I'm going to say is this: the hell you got going on Thursday?
Well, we can sit here and keep talking Frank Sinatra songs, but
I love Sinatra like Dito better. So there.
All right. Well, I'm going to have a big play on the card for Thursday, so you can check that out.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
Ain't that a kick in the head? It's we hit our big play last week. We had won 5% during the tournament over the weekend, and it came home rather easily, and I'm looking forward to that again. It was Tennessee over Arkansas on Saturday, so let's see if we can continue the run. And I love this week. This is – if you're not in Vegas this week, if you've never experienced it, the next 4 days in Vegas is just it's insane. Throw in Mark and I were talking before we started the podcast. You got St. Patty's Day on the weekend. You've got spring break here, and you got March Madness. It doesn't get any better.
You know what I love is there's nobody watching this. There are people listening, and he's pointing to Mark as though everybody can see him. He's like, I got Mark over here. Mark happens to be Mark Seidel, who is producing the show.
Mark waving to the crowd right now.
In case you're watching on radio. Just kidding.
What do you got, Scott?
Well, I have my 5% on Thursday is an afternoon game, and we've had a nice run with these 80% since early February with those plays. 64% this season, this college basketball season, with our 5% plays, and we think we got a real good one going on Thursday slate. In fact, I posted the play, I think it was Monday night at WagerTalk.com, and the number's still good, so we like it where it is. And that'll be on Thursday. We got 4 plays that we posted on Tuesday for the opening day of the Big Dance. Those are all up and available right now. Also, my best bet for the podcast is going to be Virginia Tech minus the bucket over Alabama. And by the way, you can go back and listen to it. I'm not going to go over all the details again. The free play is the matchup between Rhode Island and Oklahoma. It's available on WagerTalk.com right now. You know I took if you've been listening to the entire podcast, but get a little bit more detailed on why I think Oklahoma deserves to be at least a free opinion. And again, Virginia Tech is going to be the best bet for the podcast. When we come back, or I should say, don't forget to check out Friday's Big Dance Podcast. 5 more games broken down on the podcast, including Friday Best Bets. For Marco, for Dave, for the guy in the corner known as Mark, I'm Scott. Put him in the win column. Check out Friday's podcast.
And I bid you good night. Good night. Good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.